Okay, just to start off the interview, I was curious, are there any causes that you feel particularly passionate about?
I appreciate that question. Public education stands out as a primary cause that I'm particularly concerned about. Social justice issues, public health issues, and just overall current events.
Mhm. Okay. Um, let me find my questions. What's a lesser known story about Amarillo that you think needs to be told?
A lesser known story about Amarillo that I believe needs to be told is the beauty of the diversity that exists throughout Amarillo, whether you are near North Hughes and North Heights, the Flats, or even find yourself in Eastridge. There are myriad cultural experiences that everyone should embark on. And I feel like the beauty of the people in Amarillo lends itself to just personal enrichment. And people have the opportunity to establish dialogue with members of communities different from their own. That is how healing begins, and that's how we create a more unified and prosperous nation.
Mhm. So when you lived in Amarillo, were there any changes that you noticed, like, because of Route 66?
The changes that I noticed throughout my first 35 years of life in Amarillo were quite profound when you think about the uh, growth and the diversity that was available and accessible to all in terms of the types of businesses that were able to become widely known throughout Route 66, those including the 806 Coffee and Lounge or Braceros Mexican Restaurant, Golden Light Cantina, Old Tascosa Brewery. There are just myriad places to really have live music, and food, great fellowship, and just to congregate around excellent people.
Mhm.
Just had been extremely fascinated by just the nightlife and the quality experience on Route 66.
So you'd say that, like, the changes you've seen through the years have just been, like, really good and, like, improved our city?
Anytime you can bring cultures together, interacting in a positive manner around common goals and interests, that yields positive benefits for your city and for Amarillo's economy. It only makes sense to tap into the youth and the ingenuity, the ideas that are permeating among many people from different backgrounds who just want to see a city like Amarillo thrive.
Mhm. So from an educational standpoint, is there something that Amarillo does different from other places, like, in our education systems?
It's interesting that you ask that. Now I have an understanding of the complexity of Austin ISD compared to Amarillo
Mhm.
ISD. There are a number of things that are different, and particularly there are things that I am very dissatisfied in terms of
Mhm.
what the focus tends to be, in some ways as it relates to the public education in Amarillo. And I say that as someone who is a product of Amarillo's public schools
Mhm.
and a huge supporter of all public schools throughout the state of Texas. But there is a need to ensure that literacy is established, it's promoted, and it's not censored.
Mhm. Um, what's a memory from working in education that will always stick with you?
As a school administrator, it's interesting that that is a question that often arises when people, ask about, some of the most memorable experiences I've ever had as an educator. But I'd have to say the best times that ever arose from my time as an educator in Amarillo were those that included me being in the classroom with my own set of students and championing a cause for them, advocating for them, seeing how they could have that eureka moment and really go from barely understanding the text before them to truly analyzing and being able to extend themselves as they deeply immerse themselves within the content I was presenting in American history, and to really see them grow throughout the course of the school year. Those were some interesting moments that really brought me joy because students who may have been disinterested going into the year in terms of their relatability to American history. By the end of that school year, they had exponentially grown as the data and the evidence displayed, but they had also become so engulfed into the material that they became their own version of historians.
Wow. Is there anything particular that pushed you to get into your kind of work?
I'd have to attribute that to the great educators that I had, whether it was at Head Start, Whittier Elementary, Pre-K, or South Lawn Elementary, Eastridge Elementary, Travis Middle School, Palador High School. I had great teachers throughout that journey who continued to show me that there was a life beyond that I had known, and I always had family members who made it clear to me since I was at a very young age that I was going to college, that I was
Mhm.
going to become a first generation college graduate, that I was going to make a difference in my community, and hopefully, I did something.
Would you say that Amarillo has like a really good community aspect? Like just the city in whole?
The city's beautiful. The city has many people from all walks of life who just want to see it improve. And I think
Mhm.
if we listen to those voices that are often ignored, Amarillo will have an opportunity to become the city that it has the potential to become.
Are there any well, are there any specific changes that you would like to see?
I appreciate you asking that question. I recently ran a municipal campaign in Amarillo,
Mhm.
and the tenets of that campaign came down to three central core issues for Amarillo: a stronger economy, a safe
Mhm.
community, and reliable infrastructure. If we don't prioritize that, and I say we because I I'm still Amarillo through and through,
Mhm.
born and raised there, and it has made me the man I am today. And I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to now call myself an Austinite. Nonetheless, Amarillo itself could do all the things that Austin is doing if it were to listen to its people. Amarillo citizens want to see change. They want to see a diverse economy. They deserve to have that.
Mhm.
Amarillo residents want to have diversity actually supported. And I know here in this state, it seems to be anathema to those who, have some sort of political power. But I'll say it's high time for the citizenry to realize the power is within us, we the people. We can protest, we can go to the ballot boxes, we can make change, and it's up to us. And I think Amarillo citizens, I would continue to implore them, just as I did for 35 years while living there,
Mhm.
to roll up their sleeves, to be part of their communities, be part of the work, and see to it that changes actually come to fruition for the betterment of Amarillo community, all 203,000 of its citizens.
Yes, of course. Um, is there anything about like Route 66 or Amarillo that you think not enough of the youth know that you think they should?
Amarillo is a great place to grow, to learn, to impact, and you have a great privilege there in Amarillo. I want young people to understand that like Amarillo is where it's your training ground. It's where you can actually have immense impact if you're willing enough to learn, if you're willing enough to grow, and if you're willing enough to work. You know, I I care very deeply about Amarillo, uh, despite the fact that I'm now an Austinite.
Mhm.
Amarillo still has the potential to do some great things, and I really am looking forward to the day where Amarillo is able to be led by its youth, its diverse interests to become that city that it should become.